Nice.
There we go. Zach Calhoun, Houston, Texas.
Hey, Houston in the house.
Yeah, guys, what's up?
Rick from Dallas area.
What's up, Rick? How are you?
Doing great, thank you.
Good, good. What's up, Howard? How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Gavin, Mark, hello, welcome. Jason, how are you, man?
Hello.
Cool. So everyone, welcome. Thanks so much for being here. So the CloudPano community call, what does that even mean? Our objective is to help each other, right? And to talk shop. We're all in the same world. We understand technology. But what I've seen over and over and over again, without a doubt, is that we can remove and replace oftentimes the, here we go, I'm trying to mute him. Anyways, the niche or the customer segment or the channel sometimes to that customer. But a lot of the principles are the same. So people have a problem, they're trying to solve it. They want to achieve a goal. We're trying to help them get there. We charge a fee for that, right? Whether that's recurring, whether it's high ticket, whether it's low ticket, whether it's high volume, low ticket. So we're all here to help each other. That's the goal of the call. Last week was a lot of fun because it was just very interesting kind of hearing what guys were doing, what niches they were in, and price points and stuff like that. So for example, in the school university space last week, we talked about Caleb kind of brought up how the different titles of people that were in charge of decision making when it came to virtual tours and the university play, and they're all over the place. So a big part of the prospecting journey is actually figuring out the right title. So that was niche specific, but still, I like that a lot. I think y'all kind of get it. So y'all get what I guess what I mean is that based on what you're doing. So what I'd like you guys to do, if you don't mind, if it's up to you, but I'd love for y'all to share what it is you are working on, what your latest niche is working on, whether someone's deep in the pipeline about to close, trying to get them over the edge, or you have like stuff you're just like random ideas. Hey, I have this idea, share it with everybody, see what and get feedback. There's no like formal structure, like I don't have to call anybody. You can jump in whenever you want to. If it gets crazy, then yeah, I'll probably just mute folks or whatever, but that's never happened before, so don't worry about that. So we're all friends. Y'all cool with that?
Yep.
Nice.
Sounds
All right, who wants to go first?
All right, Jack, this is Dave in Seattle. I'll give it a whirl, give you guys an update. So I'm currently focusing on hotels and like the retirement communities. It's kind of going slow. It seems like in the retirement, like senior care industry, the big dogs already got them, so I missed them. And then, so I'm still going after some of the bigger ones, but just that kind of medium ones that we're trying to transition into realizing what they need and how it can get done. So that's what I'm kind of working on. Then fun projects, I'm working on I'm explaining as a dirt to glass virtual experience. So working on like wineries and vineyards or wineries and breweries. So I got a mini one done, but basically like a 360 of the vineyard and then a 360 of like the processing for the wine or squishing and bottling and stuff. And then now bringing them, the final one is in the tasting room. So kind of like a dirt to glass virtual experience for the wineries.
Doing some drone stuff with that, David?
What's that?
You doing some drone work out of the vineyard?
Yeah, so that's what it'd be, like a sky drone, and then actually in the soil, like actually on the ground of the grapes and like the fruit, what they call it, and then bringing it through kind of the whole process. It's kind of like telling the brand story for the vineyard, and at the end, thanks to Zach and CloudPano, we're able to capture lead at the end. Like, okay, let's book a let's book a tasting, let's sign a membership, let's capture that lead after having that cool experience. So I've had a lot of people not get it yet, and then some of the ones are like, holy crap, this is amazing. How do we get it going? So
Cool.
that's it.
So Sorry, I'm kind of managing like microphones here. So then what's the I guess the step-by-step play here. So obviously you can Google wineries, right? Google them
Yep.
all and start to hit them all with emails and start to call them. But what has been like, what's worked, and then for you locally, and then what's done well for you messaging wise?
So I've been doing email. I've been doing some old school, just cold, door knocking, showing up, shaking hands, patting babies. And then I'm also visiting the local Chamber of Commerce. There's a little town right outside of me called Woodinville, and it's a whole like the main commerce of the area is wine and like brewing, distilling. So just tapping into the Chamber of Commerce and building a good relationship with them. What I'm doing, I'm actually offering a complimentary 360 photo of the outside of the business for the new members of the chamber. So then that way I get to kind of go in and meet them when they first open up. Because a lot of times, we've all seen businesses and locations are in transition. Ones are closing out, new ones are coming in. So it's just a high value, and it takes about 9 seconds to update a 360 photo on the outside on Google.
Yeah.
And
Nice.
they show appreciative, like, oh, hey, let's do the inside too, kind of thing. Then I try to upsell them onto a hosted virtual tour, and that was the first time I closed one of the deals on one of those through that specific pipeline.
Yeah.
Like a little soccer store they just opened up in the area. So
Nice.
That sounds like a good angle. I like that angle.
So I've had good rapport with the chambers, but all chambers are differently. Some are super beneficial and good for networking and commerce, and some are just kind of there, and some are too big and some are too small. So that's what I got.
I like that. So the soccer store, you went out, shot a complimentary 360, and then how'd you get them to sign on? What was the pitch? Like how'd it flow, I guess, into the sale?
Yeah, it was just kind of like, so what I have a good relationship with the chamber was they introduced me to the new businesses. So that's what's kind of nice about tapping the chambers. Now it's Zach's lingo, a warm lead now. Like, hey, welcome to the chamber. Hey, as a complimentary offer, one of our members does a 360 virtual shot for you. So it's a nice, hand on. Some said sweet, some said no thanks. So as they got me an introduction, I went and met them, and I actually ended up buying some soccer shoes while I was there anyway. So it kind of made a win for them anyways. And then it was like, hey, whoop-de-whoop, chopped them up, and then was just kind of like, yeah, we'd love to do one for you guys. Just want to welcome you to the neighborhood. And one of their other locations actually already had 360 on Google. So they were kind of hip. That's why it's a little bit more of an easy transition. But once we got it, what I do is when I put together the Google tour, I send it to them in the CloudPano tour for them to approve the photos. And they go, oh, wow, this is really cool. And once they're in there, they're like, yeah, if you want, a couple $100, we can upgrade you put it on your website. So that way you have more control of the experience and then capture the lead more. Like, oh gosh, that'd be awesome. So that was kind of the process.
Sweet. So what was the offer? Like, what was the price points?
So I was doing a special if they upgrade for the Google Street View tour. I do $99 a photo, and if you sign up today, it's buy one get one free.
Nice.
So
great. Yeah.
So there was gonna be 6 photos. It was $300, and then upgrade me to a hosted tour for $600.
Nice. So end up being $600.
$99 a year. Yes, it was kind of being a wash, and $99 a year in hosting.
Cool. That's great. That's so. Okay, great. So what I'd like to talk about or ask you about, maybe just kind of dig into some more, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
So what's on David's mind here, and it's always on my mind too, and I forget this stuff sometimes too. Like, I guess it's on my mind. I don't know how you guys are as entrepreneurs, but for me, it's like I'm in the shower, I'm thinking about this stuff, or I'm like, walk on a walk or on a run. It's like when I think about the relationship and these success stories that we've had, which had a lot, right? And the failures we've had. We've had guys tell us no, right? Whether it's software, whether it's whatever, it happens all the time, right? And there's just like this is this is I kind of feel like I'm maybe a broken record to myself, but I don't want to like ever have someone miss this. There's a repeated theme that like rapport always comes before the sale, right? You got to have a certain amount of rapport, just the way it is, right? And I think a good salesperson recognizes this, and their first goal is to build rapport. Like they're just going to keep building rapport until they feel like this relationship's at a good place. We can make a transaction. I think I'm going to mute. Maybe it's Howard. I'm not sure. So, nope, it's not. Let me see. Who is it? I don't know. But there's a button that's a mute all button. So I'll do that real quick. Hold on.
KGB.
There it is. There it is. Mute all. Okay, cool. You can all talk whenever you want, unmute whenever you want to. Just I got to use that button sometimes because I don't know who's talking. So a lot of people on the call. Sorry about that. So, anyways, all I was trying to say was there's a relationship between rapport and the transaction, right? So, like what we try to do, and this is a very important metric that's kind of invisible. You don't actually know how much rapport you have built with someone, right? It's difficult to measure, right? So, but this is true in every single industry. If you think about it. We do a lot of automotive sales. Why do people buy an Audi? Well, because they have a lot of rapport with the Audi dealership, the Audi brand first, then the actual unit or SKU. They like that one a lot. Then they go into dealership, and now they're trying to decide if that deal is good, and they want to make a transaction with that salesperson, et cetera, or that company. Like that's like way down the list because the rapport has actually been way built. They see Audi on the TV. They see Audi brand. They see a beautiful store, a beautiful showroom. All that stuff is designed to build rapport. So when it comes time to finally sign the dotted line for $30,000 to $70,000, that all those reassurances have been checked off, right? So why am I talking about Audi right now? It's because at a micro level, David explained this scenario where his rapport level number one, he's in the Chamber of Commerce. He's willing to spend some time and be legit, right? So like there's a level of rapport that being a member of Chamber of Commerce has. Number two, he shoots a free photo for him, a free service, a thing. He does a transaction for free. He helps them for free. That builds some rapport, right? That builds a ton of rapport. And actually at that point, I think, David, I would like you to speak to this, but once you took that photo, you start talking to him, okay? Once you've done the service and you're about to either deliver it or I don't know whether they deliver it separately or but you're on location doing it, right? You're talking to them, they're meeting you, you're smiling, you're a normal guy, you're not a weirdo, right? You're not some like, you got your face is shaved, you got a nice shirt on, you just don't smell funny, right? You're doing the right stuff, right? So in that moment, you actually are doing the free photo because you're actually pitching them, right? It's a 9-second pitch is what it really is. You're actually asking for permission to pitch them. Now, they may not recognize that. Some of the hustlers will recognize that. They'll know that's true, but that's just the reality. The reality is they're giving you a chance to pitch them, and you're going to give them a free photo in exchange. And so here's what I want you to speak into during that time when you're on location. And I'm assuming there was someone important there who could make a decision, but I guess in that moment, was there a moment when you felt like you built enough rapport to pitch? And when did that come? Can you kind of explain that? And I really want us to like not think about this as a soccer store. Go sell soccer stores niche. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the transaction story, right? Like the storyline of the transaction, rapport, and then he felt it and he pitched and he closed the deal and they upsold to hosted tour, right? So he doubled the transaction. He had an offer and they upsold and they said yes to it, right? So that's a really important like timeline, and that's true for every transaction. So I would love for David to kind of like speak on when that specific, I'm talking about devils in detail here, guys. When that moment in time happened, like, okay, well, it's time. I can pitch this guy. Go ahead.
Well, this was kind of unique where we already had an email introduction, and then I went in to look at soccer shoes. So I was coming as a client, right? So like, okay, I really did buy some soccer shoes. So, it kind of was like I had to invest to get the client, I guess, right? That's what it was. We're just there talking soccer and, just, oh, this is really cool. Cause they just opened up like within like the month before that. They're like brand new. Yeah. And so we're just like, hey, how long you guys here? Just like you said, just building rapport, and then bringing up like, oh, what was here before? And where are you guys located? And they had another one down in Oregon, just building rapport. Like, hey, we're small business owners together. Like that's always been my thing is like, once we're standing parallel with our clients kind of emotionally, like, it's we. You're trying to get to this
We.
we thing. Like, hey, we
Yeah.
are just trying to survive this crazy times, right? It's like, once you give them the we,
Yeah,
I'm just here to
see,
help,
that's good.
I have
That's
a
really good.
passion for helping small businesses, pivot in times like this. And it's crazy. We made, it's the we. I think we is like the important word, right? Like,
I love that. That's great. Great. So you're asking questions. So let's do some nitty gritty. I know this may seem like it's very basic and very silly, but don't think it's silly. So what kind of questions are you asking? Like you asked, who's here before you guys? Where are you guys from? How many locations do you guys have? Who owns this place? You're just asking like business questions, right? So
Yeah.
what were some examples?
it was kind of like soccer stuff off the beginning and talking Sounders, which is the local team, just kind of getting the guard down, right? It's kind of once the guard's down, then it's like, oh yeah, like I was working with some clients out here. I think we did an email intro with the chamber with you guys. Oh really? Who's that? I'm like, oh, my company's Unite 360 Media. We do the 360 photos like on Google. Like, oh gosh, yeah, that's really cool. Like we had that because they had it at their other location, so they were a step ahead of most people. So that's where it made it an easier transition.
Yeah,
because it was like, hey, have you ever looked into like, you ever seen the 360 photos on Google? They're like, yeah, actually, we did that at our location. It was great. And that's when they were like, we're gonna try to find somebody locally if anybody did that up here. And so, oh yeah, I'm Dave with Unite 360 Media. I think we introed by the chamber. Yeah, I'm actually doing a deal for everybody. Complimentary. So then, if we want to just update that, since it's a new business, you don't want to look like the old business, do you? Like, no, definitely not. We want to showcase the new thing.
Nice. Okay. So did you say that specifically?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I just know with all the new business, I just want to help, I want to help the new businesses that just opened up not look like the old businesses. We want to make sure that, the 360 photos are up to date because that's where everybody's searching from. So I just want to help businesses, on a good launch as they open up. And then, that way we can all kind of make a power move forward once you open up.
Nice. Cool. Okay, we got a couple of hands raised. So what you guys go ahead, ask the question. Ask David.
Can I say one line real quick that you'll appreciate, Zach?
Yes, sure.
So I heard this line in sales is passing your conviction to someone else.
Yeah, I like that.
You're so sold on it, and that's all your whole job is just to pass that conviction on. So
yeah, it makes me think about like when I hire sales guys, I'm like, do you have conviction, bro? Because you're passing conviction on someone. Like I can pass conviction well because I'm freaking convicted, bro. It's like, yeah, it's gonna work, right? No doubt. But if someone else doesn't have that same conviction, they're gonna be like, whoop, whoop, whoop. They just won't get that conversion. There's something there won't work. Yeah, cool. They probably lit up when you were talking about it. Like, oh, it's cool. And you're like, yeah, it is. It's actually really cool. Like, oh, okay. How do I pay for it?
And the cool part was they were hip to the Google part, but they never even thought about putting it on their website. And so that's where the church is like, hey, it's cool to have them see, but like in the day, you want to capture the lead. And that's where like, hey, yeah, we can put videos, we can do the lead capture at the end. So then, because you want them on your website to see what's going on here and then capture the lead. And they're like, oh gosh, I never thought about that. So like they were already one step ahead of most businesses. So it was easy, it was up to me to get them to the next step of the hosted virtual tour.
Yeah, and that's like basically what you're doing there is you're educating the customer, building more rapport, and you have this little mini thesis of like why this is going to help you, right? It helps you what? Capture a lead. That's your ultimate goal anyways, right? They'd be like, well, yeah, it is. Yeah, well, that's why you need this. That makes sense. And they're like, yeah, one person. Go ahead, sorry.
And there's one more thing that was kind of unique about the situation was that next week they had the Adidas reps coming to like see the launch of this business. So they wanted to look good to the rep to say, hey, this is what we're doing for our business. We had the hosted virtual tour. They wanted to, she had me rush it out, and get that to them really so they could see that ahead of time. Because then they want to see, hey, if Adidas would get involved in the marketing or the cost or that kind of thing of that process. So they were already thinking about the next steps about it. And they go, hey, can you get this out like tomorrow so we can show it to the Adidas reps? I'm like, no problem, done deal.
Adidas. Oh, wow. Okay. I didn't hear that at first for some reason. That's awesome. So okay. So my thought immediately goes to how do we leverage the like success to the next step, right? And so give it some time because they're launching and stuff. But I would all for sure call them in a week and say, hey, how'd it go with Adidas? You know, like what they say that they like it. Like we could do a virtual tour for all of Adidas's, you know, whatever. Let me talk to this guy, right? So now, will that always happen? You know, maybe not. But like, it's about leveraging. It's ascending basically what success you have, right? So like, imagine a storyline. I'm not saying this is going to happen, but I'm an optimist, so let's just be optimistic together. You go to the Chamber of Commerce, you do a free photo, you get a rush order out, you'll upgrade a hosted tour, and then you're pitching Adidas in a few weeks, right? So like that could happen, right? That ascension could happen quickly, which is just cool. So like we have Nike on the platform in CloudPano. They make these weird virtual stores like in South America somewhere. It's all 3D renderings. I think it's actually like them like setting up like how to set up a store. It's an interesting, so they're customers, which is cool. There's a Pro Plus user, Nike is just a couple of people in South America, one of their offices, but still like those things are happening, right? So thinking outside the box, like people, like you could tell them, hey, this, I know Nike using my software, y'all should too.
Well, I thought it'd be kind of cool is like, I think to what you're kind of going with that is like, imagine if that small business got Adidas involved to cover the cost, because now make the tour kind of an Adidas sponsored tour. $600 is nothing to those guys, right? But it's big for a small business. It's a line item for a small business for them. They poop $600 on a Tuesday morning. You know, like.
Yeah, they stumble over $600. That's actually a good idea. You tell them, hey, you can actually get me to sponsor this. I'll put their logo on the top right corner. Boom. Yeah, that's a good idea. Now they're getting paid for their investment. That's smart. Jeez.
Go up one more level, like until Adidas, like, hey, let's, would you guys cover costs for any of your vendors? I'll get you a group rate to do virtual tours for all your top vendors in the area.
All your soccer stores, like the whole entire Seattle area. Hey, give me I'll do all the soccer stores for y'all. I can sponsor each one. Your logo's up there. What do you think? And that's a cool idea. It's just, you got to have those, they're called discovery calls. You got to have those creative discovery calls and see what happens. That's awesome. So that's why you want to do a good job too. Even though this person, you give them a free photo, you want to do a good job because they're going to basically look at that one as the reference. Right.
Yeah.
All right. We had a couple questions here, so I want to make sure I get to them. Yassine, go ahead, brother.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Actually, I have a question. So it's I already asked it last week actually in the group. So you mentioned that you go and say that you can update the old 360 photo that's on Google. But my question is, when you do the new tours, sometimes like the photo from Google Street is still there, and how can you change that photo? Because it's from Google Street, it's not from their side.
Dave, you want to speak to that? How you did it, or?
Oh, sorry, I thought you were talking to you. So how do you get rid of the old ones? Is that what he said?
Yeah, because
Yes.
the old one was when it's from Google Street, not from their side.
I believe what the newest one goes to the top of the list, right, Zach? Like whenever the new one goes in, that's what showcases first.
Okay.
I think that's not the way. I think what happens is I think the Google Street View one is the one that goes. And so what I think he's asking is, sometimes the Google Street View car comes after a while, like a year or two. And so they have one old photo that is still there from Google Street View. And that doesn't change until the next time the car comes around.
Yeah,
So
that's
their
my
Street
question.
View always takes precedence over anybody else's, what you're saying?
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So to access the inside interior tour when you're on one of the GMB listings, you just click on photos and 360 is right there. And then also you're inside, right? So what you're asking is, how do I change like from the street photo? And I'm not sure if you're going to be able to do that, to be honest.
No, as long as when they click on the 360 tab and they don't see the Google Street one at the top, that's fine, I think.
Yeah, it will
From
be
my
on their
experience,
listing.
It's a popularity contest for the photos. So which one is getting the most views? So they're going to realize if it was a taco shop last week and it's a soccer store this week, then they're going to start clicking that. And I tell my clients all the time that it takes time for that to rank up. And then once they start getting more views, it's just going to organically be at the top.
Yeah, it takes time.
I assume that doesn't take very long. Seems like those 360s, man, they get views like over the top pretty quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, thousands in a week usually.
Yeah.
I've had one that's just for a park that's got over 300,000 views.
Nice.
I've had one that's at 2.8 million.
Wow.
Wow.
And
I've
actually,
created a lot of,
I've been doing this for Google now for over 10 years, and my overall views on Google right now are at about 68 million
Awesome.
in the 10 years that I've been doing it.
Mr. Calhoun, you remember what number I reached some time back?
I can't remember.
Okay, so I think about 5 months or so back, I reached 100 million.
Oh, gosh.
Now that figure's updated to 126.
Nice. Hey, Charles, I'm gonna give you a chance to get your hand raised here. Go ahead, you're next. Trying to unmute you here if I can. Oh, I muted you. Hold on 1 second. I'm sorry. Go ahead now.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Zach. Thank you everyone for joining in. Listen, I'm just starting up starting into the business here, but I have a different focus. So what I wanted to ask you is, can you talk to us a little bit about your roadmap for the next maybe 24 months? We've been seeing a number of emails coming in about some promotions, a couple of them that came up. So this is great. And I'm hoping that keeps coming. So my last question is really in regard to your roadmap. Are you planning to integrate possibly e-commerce for small shops that want to kind of create that experience for shoppers? Is it possible, or do you intend to run into some issues software-based? So, I want to start this small project, and I wanted to ask for your thoughts on that. Thank you.
Sure. I can't give a roadmap for the next 24 months because there's not one for that long. We have like over 100 items in the backlog, but if they aren't groomed up and prepared for the dev team, then they're just not really good. Are they going to make it into dev? We'll see. So it's like what we do with development is we meet internally and we measure two things really, like business value and how hard something is. And those things are up and down. And if something's super hard and has very little business value, then we probably aren't going to do it. But if it helps the business a lot and it's really, really easy, then we'll probably move that one up pretty high. And so that's kind of how we, when it goes about development. So roadmap wise, yeah. So you're asking about e-commerce. In my mind, like, this is funny. I don't want to speak into something that like maybe won't happen, but like I want to happen. So, me, I want to do everything. So I want to do it all. So roadmap wise, we are working on some items with how we're going to be adding measurements to floor plans. It's going to be kind of a cool thing. It's actually Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac law now in America. You have to have measurements on a floor plan. Otherwise, it's not what's called GLA compliant. So that's actually in April, this came out. So we'll work on something with that. We'll be in touch about that. That's a big deal. I'm not sure how it's going to go just yet. And it may not happen ever. It's really possible it's at that current stage. Now, it better freaking happen because I'm pushing to put a lot of resources towards it. But I think, so that's one thing that's coming. E-commerce shop wise. So obviously we have the spin technology, right? Like it's really cool. Like we even have some folks making some spins and like some really interesting like item stuff. And I'm like playing around with it as well too. We have all the components of how to use that in a more e-commerce style way. Basically virtual like style, like for e-commerce stores. So essentially a spin provider like you guys could create spins of products and then like ship and make that's your like a deliverable for e-commerce, right? Now there's a couple things left to do there. But if you want, you can pilot with us and work on some of those items. It's just not tight and fully ready for like the e-commerce world because it's just like in every single industry, there's like skeleton. I call them skeletons in the closet. There's just things that like come up and make sure we finish some important items before we get to that. But if you have some ideas and some things you want to do, basically utilizing like all of our technology. We have 360 virtual tour software. We have Spin as part of our technology, and create a streamlined experience. We could do that, but it would just take like some more hands-on stuff. It wouldn't be as automatic. It wouldn't be like click a button, you have a 360 store for any e-commerce shop, for any shop anywhere. It'd be more like, hey, let's work on some custom code. Let's try some things. Let's see how this looks. Let's see if we can put the cart inside the experience. Let's see where, it's stuff like that. Let's see if we integrate Shopify, right? Stuff like that. That's all painful stuff that kind of comes with a new like product mix like that. But I'm definitely willing to explore it. And this goes for anybody on the call. Like if you guys have like wild hair ideas and you say, hey, I think I could possibly do this thing, you can bring it up to us. We like to do pilots that are, pilots for stuff is like some people are willing to pay for, right? So if like someone says, hey, I'm willing to pay this much per month to try this out, to do this thing, then we definitely were willing to explore it and look at it, because those things can scale, right? Especially if you have a current client who needs it and we have a success story we can bring to them and say, here's how this works, here's what to expect, here's the really hard things and the problems that could come up, here's how to have success over and over again doing it, here's a way to market it and sell, like basically a business model wrapped around it, right? So those things have to kind of come hand in hand. So that's what I'm trying to say, is the technology's there, just not like built for it yet. So that's kind of like a lot of words to say like, yeah, maybe we'll do that one day, but I'm not sure just yet when.
Okay, thank you much. I appreciate it, Zach. But I see the opportunities, and I'm trying to kind of push it a little bit to see how the experience will look like. But yeah, I know it's all great.
Cool. Yeah, and like anything else, like if you have a customer and you want to invest some time and some effort and some dollars into like that, we'll partner with you and like go make it happen, right? If you have, what people do sometimes to us is they'll say, hey, I had all these ideas, I want to do this, but I don't want to pay for any of it. Like, well, then good luck out there, like, I'm sorry, I just can't help you. Like, that's just not business, right? Partner alongside of us, think shoulder to shoulder with CloudPano, and you could get rich, right? If you just think about yourself and you just want to do it yourself, then good luck. That's okay. That's just the way it is. I want you to do your best. I want you to use technology. I want you to pay us your subscription fee, and that's hopefully the best. I want you to do well. So I know it sounds like maybe a little bit negative, but we just get a lot of that. Like people say, hey, I want to white label your whole platform, and then remove CloudPano. It's like, so you want to sell our software but not pay us like at all for it? That's a bad deal for us. No. So like, sorry, it's hard to explain, but this is a lot of bad deals that come to our table. We like to be involved in good deals though. Bring us into the deal, bro. We'll help you. Steven, you're next. Go ahead. You're next.
How are you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
Good, thanks. Funny story first, and then a request.
Sure.
I'm a real estate photographer, and I did a 360 shoot and had another real estate photographer coming in behind me. I beat him to the punch, and a property for $3.3 million went sight unseen from a 360 tour
Nice.
in 2 days. Crazy,
Nice.
Crazy market. And my request is, instead of having the equirectangular image as a thumbnail, can you make set initial view a thumbnail? That's my request.
Good question. So
because the equirectangular image is terrible. Nobody can understand.
So good. That's a good request. I've seen it a couple times, and I'm like, yeah, it's actually a good idea. So we have this new like feature that we released in like testing. Basically, it is. I mean, it's not really a test. It's kind of like we're kind of letting it be out in the wild right now. We'll see how it goes and see what we do with it later. But it's called custom JavaScript. What that means is you can kind of go into the header code and like adjust really whatever you want on the tour. So you can make anything. You can change anything. You can hide images. You can change images. You can do really anything if you have a developer who wants to do it. And the way they do that is that they do an inspect element in Chrome, and they can see where everything's placed, and they can play with it, and they can put that code or hard code that stuff into that specific tour. So what that means is if you want a menu, if you want to change the images on stuff, you can do anything. You can do really anything you can think of. Think about like when I look at websites, what do I see? All you're seeing is JavaScript and HTML and CSS together. So you can we have that available, and now you can do it as an overlay or whatever, changing anything on in the 360 environment in CloudPano. So long story short, you can grab somebody on a Fiverr, say, hey, here's my tour. I want to change these 10 images that are currently this to these 10 stills. And they'll say, okay, and they'll just do it, and they'll probably charge it, I don't know, however many bucks, and just to try it out and figure out how to do it. And it will be, it's very possible. So you basically can do anything is my answer. But you can do anything for free, I guess. It's kind of how the world works, I guess, right? But so that's the way it is right now. Does that make sense?
Yep. Thank you.
Okay, cool. No problem. Okay, cool. This has been fun. I have a couple questions hitting me directly. It's hard to hit. I can't necessarily.
Zach?
Go ahead.
Zach, aren't you able to change the preview image in the brand kit?
Yeah, I don't think you can do that just yet. Do you mean preview image for? He's talking about the thumbnail image, I'm pretty sure. So the thumbnail down
Yeah,
the
the
bottom.
thumbnail. You can change the thumbnail in the brand kit. You just go down to set preview image for sharing on Facebook, and then click on the little white.
So that's for
picture.
sharing. Yeah, that's for sharing on Facebook. Sorry to interrupt you, but he's talking about like in the experience itself. Is the way I think he's saying it. Unless I'm wrong. I could be wrong. But
No, I want thumbnail to be not rectangular, but it seemed to make sense to me. Set initial view, take that image and make it the thumbnail.
So for sharing on Facebook or for like every
No,
single
for the tour itself.
Okay, yeah. So inside the
Right now you get the
individual-
rectangular image, which
Yeah, I thought that you
is all twisted and whatever, but
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you can
so-
change that to a flat image. I do it all the time.
Well, show us how, Brandon. Show us the way, bro. Or just maybe just post it in Facebook group later. How about that?
Yeah, I'll post it in the Facebook group later.
Okay. The hacker. Brandon's gonna hack it for you and dominate. Okay. He'll hook you up with the answer. Maybe he'll share the codes and you can just use that.
I'm too old for Facebook, but I'll see if I can figure out how to do it. You say you can do it in the brand kit, right?
Yeah, brand kit, scroll down to set preview image, click on the white box, upload your flat image.
Yeah, he's
can
referring
open
to the thumbnail ribbon though. The ribbon inside the virtual tour. That's what he's talking about.
Okay.
Yes.
Sorry.
No worries. You're good. Cool. What's anybody else want to go next? We'll let you guys working on. We got a few minutes left here.
I have a question. Is anybody else doing any kind of sales funnels, and what's been working as kind of that entry level offer or reach out or ad? Might be more of a Zach question, but I want to know if anyone else is utilizing sales funnels at all.
Or if you are utilizing some just prospecting in general, what are you pitching, right? Maybe it's also a follow-up question. Love to see what's working for you guys out there. I know what I'm doing. We're doing a ton of stuff, but I don't want to hog the microphone.
Well, no one's stepping up. So what's your kind of entry level, Facebook ad, or kind of like, because you're doing some sales funnels, aren't you, Zach?
Yeah, so it depends on who we're talking to. So like, that we sell into automotive all the time, right? So, and the channel matters too. But what we do a lot of is we'll send like 4 emails to everybody, and we're trying to find within the organization who the person is in charge of X. And we find that person, and we send that person 4 emails to you. We'll drop in Loom videos. So Loom videos we'll use the same one most of the time. But the Loom videos will be like, hey, here's what I'm doing. Here's what it looks, because it's a visual product, right? You want to show what it looks like. Here's what it is. Here's the problem it solves. Here's why you should check it out, at least consider it. And I wanted to book a short call, talk more if you have 2 minutes. So we'll get like people will evaluate from that video a lot, and they'll decide, and they'll respond accordingly, like not interested, or yes, book a time, or whatever. And then people that respond, we call. So that's like our prospecting funnel. But regards to like inbound, we do a lot of retargeting. So retargeting is like We just we add a pixel to certain pages, and we build a custom audience from that. And so what you can do on Facebook, very easy, but it's very good for retargeting. It's not always so good for cold traffic because it's kind of out into the ethosphere. But retargeting wise, people who have raised their hand, like at least clicked on something or watched 3 seconds of the video, etc., call out to that audience, call who you're talking to. So like if you target property managers, you're like, hey, property managers, here's what we do, etc. And you want to retarget based on views. That's what it works really well. So that's on Facebook's database. So they're going to build a little audience for you. And then you can do that like this specifically. Also, advertising wise, I was talking to a real estate photographer the other day. We get coffee. It was actually a lot of fun. He does a lot of volume, 200 houses a month. He has like about 5 employees, and he was asking me, he said, "Hey, should I do some SEO work in the next city over? Should I expand via SEO pages basically?" And I said, "You can do that. There's nothing wrong with like putting a page up for like." He's in Richmond, Texas, and he wants to be in Katy as well. Well, you can put a page there, real estate photography for Katy. But it's a long play. Don't really know where you're going to rank based on the competition. What you can do for sure is you can buy up PPC advertising, pay $4 a click. Maybe you only get 100 clicks a month, but it's 400 people or 100 people who are like really interested in that specific niche, and you put what's called a broad match modifier on that keyword. So what you can do to Google is, because they want to spend your money, right? So they'll target all kinds of stuff based on PPC advertising. But what you can do is you can add a modifier. It's called where the search in the search bar has to include this specific word. Okay, this is actually super powerful if you think about it, because if someone types in real estate photographer but it's a broad match setting, well, you might get searches for real estate investing, real estate agent, and you don't want to be at all. You don't want to get clicks for that. But if you put a broad match modifier that says I require photographer, the word photographer, not photography, not how to shoot better, not give me tips about how to do it. No. I want photographer. That means I'm looking locally. So, and you also can do a zip code, right? Region, right? So within 20 miles of where I'm located, virtual tour photographer or 360 photographer, that's very important. Photographer has to be the broad match modifier. If they include that word, that means they're looking for a photographer, bro, right? And that's the only searches I want to appear for. And in that ad itself, you have some like one-time offer, some cheap offer, and you want to include a price in the ad itself, because people who click on a PPC ad that has a price on it have their wallet out, right? And they're cool with like you see clicking that link. Now it's going to be expensive and kind of experimental for a few months, of course, but it's a way you can micro compete like this week of the whole market. Makes sense? So you could target the virtual the keyword in your local area, Google Street View photographer or virtual tour photographer, and broad match modifier the word photographer. And now anybody who searches Google Street View photographer, like you're going to pop up number 1, because you're probably one of the few people in your area that are competing for that word. You got me? And the way you get high impressions is you change 2 things: the bid per keyword and the volume per day. You're not going to spend the amount you bid. You're not going to spend the amount of volume, but those are just the levers you need to pull and put in front of Google, basically.
So is it better to focus more on keywords, but also marketing towards Google Street View or virtual tour?
Yeah, you got to test it, right? You got to play with it. So the way you figure out what's better than how you do head to head with those 2. And by the way, we don't do a lot of, like if I do PPC advertising, I'm picking like 1 or 2 keywords and that's it. I'm not doing 25, 30. They'll give you a bunch of recommendations. Don't do that. Just pick 1, pick 2 maybe. So you can have those 2 compete basically. And if they click on that, hit your website, have some type of like pop-up or something that if they like, hey, would you like your first photo free? Just add your name and email and click submit and I'll reach out. And then that redirects to a thank you page. And then that thank you page is the pick where you pixel your lead, your conversion pixel. And then you can basically have those 2 keyword PPCs running, and whomever wins out of those 2, whoever gets you the most leads, and it becomes sales, you'll know, right? You'll be able to know, because I got 3 leads on this one, I got 1 on this one, it's been 1 week. Well, this one's going well. Remember, they're both going well. Remember, this one got 0 and it cost me, $200. And this one got 5 leads and it cost me $200. Well, then that's a clear winner. I can just cut off that one, money. Now I'm just gonna pay $200 every few weeks or every once a month. And that's all I gotta spend. It's a cheap amount. And I get these really high quality leads and have an inbound flow coming to me, right? So having inbound with intent is really important. So PPC search, like Google, that is so important because they have intent, commercial intent. So if you can master that game, well, you never go hungry, right? And you can target all kinds of wild stuff. But locally, you want to win the local game. You want to go search keywords you're thinking about, see who's bidding, like click search a couple times, 4 or 5 times, see what they're saying on their ads. You can model those. People that buy ads for keywords are making money. Okay, that's very important to know. If there's no ads on those keywords, that's a red flag. Like maybe they're not actually making any money. So maybe there's no bad keyword target at all. So it's good to see competition. Now, if you're like me and you see like virtual tour software, which is like thousands of searches a month, it costs a ton of money to go after that keyword. So like you have to decide, do I want to put my money there? Do I not want to? That one's a tough one because I'm going after the whole United States of America, Canada, Australia, and United Kingdom. Doesn't mean you can't make money there. It's just going to be a lot more. The CPM is going to be higher, so cost per 1,000 impressions is going to be much higher. So I'm like getting, So, but locally though, you can win the local game and win the local PPC game pretty easily. But you got to avoid the mistakes. You don't want to have a keyword search that doesn't have broad match modifiers in place. Otherwise, you're going to go to your search term results later on in your reporting. And you're going to see you got appeared for all kinds of weird stuff. Like you're like, oh crap, I'm wasting all this money. Like if someone's searching virtual tours of University of Seattle, well, hot dang, that's not what you want to appear for, right? You don't care about that. Like you don't want to be that guy who's like, this guy's trying to go to college. He's not trying to hire me, a guy like me. So you got to avoid that. That's just money wasted. I wasted enough money to know this. This is how I figured this stuff out. Like lose a bunch of money, and then I gotta go, hey Clayton, I'm sorry. Listen, I spent a bunch of money on this. It didn't really work out. I had a problem in the advertising settings I didn't realize, and I figured it out 3 days later, and it cost us $5,000. Like that's happened before. Okay, so I have to spend more than that. Actually, then it's terrible. It makes your heart hurt when you're working hard and you make a mistake on something. You spend too much money. You try to ask Google Ads for a refund, they say no. But yeah, this is a big deal. It's like if you want to win the local game, you gotta be competing locally, right? Like just put roller, you gotta put the boxing gloves on and go compete, spend the money where the intent is. So it's my thought on funnels and intent, if that makes sense. I can probably talk about it all day because I've done it a bunch. I'm getting a lot of like direct messages. It'd be cool if, let's see. No. Okay, so any other questions?
Yeah, hello, I've got something I wanted to ask about.
Sure, go ahead.
So I was interested in trying to capture some virtual tours of some events like fairs, that kind of thing, but where there's a lot of people, a lot of movement, so doing it with video instead.
Cool.
But I did find a problem trying to do it on CloudPano, being that it produces a kind of big file, so I'm getting about 25, 30-second clips and couldn't upload that much. Is there, I don't know, any other way to do this besides just without having like very short video clips?
So yeah, so right now we reduce the file size on purpose because folks dumping a lot of files on there isn't always a good experience for our servers. But fortunately, like YouTube does have a free 360 stream like upload service. You can upload as much as you want. So for 360 videos, so you could use that for sure. It wouldn't be as streamlined of an experience, right? But video is just heavy, bro. It's like super heavy. So It's hard to render, it's hard to pull, it's hard to put on the CDN. It's like, you know, and Clayton will say, oh no, it's no big deal, we can do it. And it's like, yeah, but like every time I see, I know it, I want to watch it, it's just heavy, like doesn't look so. That's why those file sizes are lower. So right now it's just the way it is. If you have a project come up, it's like, hey, I gotta have more video, I gotta have more memory. These guys, they're willing to pay for it, whatever. And just talk to us, and we can go into your account individually and like reduce those limits. But it's not. I would like to like I said before, partner alongside you. You know, it's like what we just got to calculate how much you think it's going to cost, and then just go from there and quote your price. So yeah, that's where it's at right now. We're considering raising the limit in the future. Just haven't got to it yet. It's like deep in the backlog.
Okay, all right. I thought it might be just that kind of limitation, anyways.
It's not impossible. It's just it's just the reality. Go ahead.
Okay, and then just real quick, I've been wondering, is the Spin reseller affiliate program going to be opening to more candidates soon?
Yeah, sure. So just reach out to support. We'd love to have you. Or you can email me as well. It's been a lot of fun. I mean, ask the guys that are, I'm not sure we're in here, so if they want to chime in about it. But yes, just shoot me an email. We'll discuss afterwards.
Okay, thanks.
Cool, no problem. All right, anybody else? I'm ready. One last question before we roll. We're past 45 minutes, which is okay. That's why I put it at 45 instead of an hour.
Hi, this is Miriam Peck.
Hi, Miriam.
Can you hear me? Hi.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, completely brand new. Like, no, really, you guys are so much more advanced than I am. I've been watching your interviews. I saw Tide Herd's interview, and my husband's the technical one. I'm not. I'm more the sales once I get into this. So I'm trying to understand how to present to a client technically without them over talking me, you know, because I'm not that technical. So when I saw the Ty Herd thing, he talked about Google Street View 360 tours, which is something he said he had a point and shoot tour, which appealed to me as a way to get into a business, you know, just talking to them. But he said something that I don't understand how he does. He said, you know, he'll go in there and he'll say, look, I'll do a 360 tour. He says it takes him 15 minutes to do the shots. And then 15 minutes later, he shows them live Google Maps. I'm reading from my notes, Google Street View, for them to look at their own tour. I don't know how he does that because it's live Google Maps is not updated that quickly. Google, I don't know. I would like to know what he meant by that. And if anybody can help me answer that, I'd appreciate it. Because that's a technique I like, and I think it'd be easy for me to use, but I just got to understand it and how to provide that service.
Yeah, you can do it immediately, basically right in CloudPano. So you can show the photo right there on your phone, like just upload it and it's there in 5 seconds. And say, here's what it's gonna look like. That's definitely very fast to do. Street View Publishing is not that fast from my experience. Anybody else have maybe through their app? They do have an app that I don't recall that from the interview. It's a while ago we had that, but yeah, anybody else want to give feedback? I think you're basically desiring to be able to show someone on Google Street View within seconds their restaurant or their location. I'm not sure that's possible. Maybe what he meant was he shows them an example photo in 360 from a different application, which is very possible and very easy to do. Maybe you achieve your goal there. Yeah, so is the goal like have to be on Street View in that within 3 seconds? Or that kind of a goal you thought was cool?
No, I just thought it was neat because he said that 15 minutes later he can show them the live Google Maps, Google Street View, and I'm like, how do you do that? We actually, my husband's here now. He finally walked in. He did a 360 of a neighborhood next door, and it actually caught somebody's business that they must have out of the house, a tax business or something. Sure. And it took about.
I did a drone shot.
Okay. You tell them what you did.
Drone 360, and when I uploaded it to Google Street View, it labeled it as this tax company, right? And now, when you go to that tax company, it's using my drone 360 view for their photo.
but it took a while.
It took like
Well,
3 days to get it up there.
Oh,
Yeah.
That sounds more normal to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so just use the CloudPano if I want to show it to them after I'm done and say, this is what's
Yeah.
going to go up. Like
That would be
it just
better.
takes
I would suggest
Yeah.
that. Unless anybody else on the
Okay.
call has some different suggestion, but that's like just super easy. Keep it easy. Keep your life easier, you know?
That's what I need. I need easy right now. Thank
Yeah.
you.
That sounds about right, Zach. You know, I did a street view shot shooting 2 days ago. I'm still waiting for them to show up online. But I normally show them the preview right on my iPad through the whatever I'm shooting with, whether it's Street View app or the Theta app or
Yeah.
CloudPano.
Great.
So, you know, being able to show it to them live gets them excited, and that's what you want.
Great. Yeah, I mean, you'd be surprised. I almost want to say the Peck family, but you'd be surprised like how many times people say, I have this idea, I want to do this, and I'm like, well, is that your idea or is it the customer's idea? Like, tell me what are you really trying to do? Like, what's the actual goal? And then we kind of find a simpler solution, and it's just an easier way. So like David's story when we first walked on the call was like, his goal is to sell people in the Chamber of Commerce virtual tours for $600. He has a methodology to get there. He's probably tried other stuff, but the reality is like he found out that actually, if I just do one photo for free and I get on location, talk to him, I can get the $300 to $600 pretty easily. Like it's like probably going to happen. So you don't have to do like something crazy to make that happen. It's just a function of like, I found the way in. Now I need to make the conversion. And that's it.
That's all she's trying to do is find a way in. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. Great. Cool.
Free or cheap. Hey, Zach, quick question. Is it possible to, in CloudPano, to remove the mouse, like the mouse feature? Or is that on the computer, or would that be actually in CloudPano? So essentially you could buzz through a CloudPano tour without the mouse clicking. Does that make sense?
You mean like just an auto walkthrough?
Yeah.
Like where it just goes through it?
So, well,
Slideshow
like,
style?
I mean, that would be really awesome. I'm not expecting it on the first day, but like, I'm just doing like a screen record, right? Like I'm trying to be realistic, but like, so I've been doing like a video walkthrough, right? In the CloudPano tour, but my mouse is all over the place. So is it possible? I guess that's really on the computer. That's not in CloudPano, is it?
Yeah, there might be a way through your screen recorder to do that. I would check to the screen recording.
I
software
haven't,
used.
not in Loom
Okay.
at least. So basically
Yeah.
to make like that fly through that is kind of the next cool thing. For marketing wise.
Yeah, I wonder if on MacBook you can do that too, because there's a screen recording function on MacBook. You can just like, I wonder if you can remove mouse, but yeah, that's not a CloudPano thing. That'd be you. Because they're taking a video of the experience or
Screen,
whatever's
yeah.
on your screen. Yeah, you got me.
I said that out loud and then felt stupid that I said it out loud. So
No, you're
as soon as
good.
I said, like,
There is no dumb questions. Like we're all working this stuff together. It's like for real. I don't mind at all.
I think if the recording software had a hide mouse button, I think that would just solve our whole issue.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is they might. I mean, most of the time,
They
like
might.
our ideas, somebody's had the idea. Someone's like ping them. Someone's hit their support chat. Hey, give me this thing. Give me this feature. So, cool. Anything else
probably
before
on
we
the
wrap
computer
up?
side.
You can use the
Yeah,
arrow keys.
There you go.
Well, I wanted to know which niche have you seen to be like the most profitable?
Yeah, so I've seen some of the highest ticket stuff come through universities. Now, so you coming here next? Yeah. Cool, man. 1 second. So sorry, I'm someone's taking over this room for a second, but I've seen a ton of universities do really, really well, and the sales pipeline is longer, but they make a killing. So like,
Yeah, because I've talked with universities, but I don't know. It just takes way too long.
and that's why you can charge more. Cool. All right, I'm getting kicked out of here. I gotta go. All right, guys. Good meeting today. Really appreciate y'all's time.
Thanks, guys.
Keep on.
Thanks, Zach.
Everybody.
Good thing.